What I hate is an undercover operation officer, an operation of my mobile, hack of my mobile, audio listening and audio recording within my property. That is what I hate. Because two things obviously happening. Now, there are two things that I want to look into, and the reason I'm recording this, of everything that have happened to me to this day. But first of all, I want to start by saying we as the public or anybody else, individual, personal, family, whatever position you hold, employed, unemployed, any human being, in fact, if you listen to this, just you don't put yourself in their shoes, because you will never fit their shoes, of any victim or any grieving family or any person at the end of receiving end by being brutalized by the police. And please, the problem here is not all police officers. I keep making this clear. But to the police, it doesn't matter. As long as you mention the word police, everybody within police hates you. But that's not what I care about, the hatred. It's the silence. It's the silence. It's a silence that kills people. It's a silence that destroys family. It's a silence that takes and damage the police integrity. That is the problem. The silence. Because each and every police officer, of the oath of the duty they have taken to uphold, they goes within their ranks. So we start by informing upwards, up to the higher police officer. But an informant is the same as an undercover police officer, because they are human intelligence information gathering to the particular person, either to the shift inspector, constable, superintendent, chief commander, whatever the ranking of policing is. But what is the reason? Two reasons. The first one, for serious crime, detection and prevention. That I agree with. The second one is for perverting cause of justice. Perverting cause of justice. How do they undercover and all these people pervert cause of justice? By working or subcontracted by the police. And this is how it works. This is where it gets dangerous. And this is how people are being killed by police. And there is no protection over the victims. Even when they know that thing is happening, they don't protect you. But they expose you and give more information for you to be in one accident or another, or something happen to you. And this is where the problem with policing is. Because the rep for the police, human intelligence, this person that goes off intrusive of your home, your phone, backsetting, audio recording, audio listening, a high thermal image with a drone, all these things, is a team of policing. Whether it's a crime squad, corruption squad, whatever it is within each and every local policing. And that is where the problem is. And I want to be careful of what I'm saying here. Not careful as being afraid, but careful of how it can be interpreted by somebody else. Before I come into my case to explain everything that has happened to me. And this is what I want to tell you as well. When police know that there is a liability against them of what they have done or how they have brutalized somebody as a victim, they don't help you to get justice. They make your life misery, including taking your life. That's how difficult it is. But if you are strong enough, you stand up to them. If you're not, God knows. But in my situation, since day one, I've said the truth. Whatever happened to me, I will stand by the truth. I'm not going to be manipulated. I'm not going to be pushed about. I'm not going to be threatened and be silenced. No. So if they cannot do that to you, but the problem is that before all this start, through your complaint process, your review, your call logs, subject request, all the police already know what character you are. They already know. Is this somebody we can bend? Is this a person we can bring close and say, don't take that route? Is this somebody that we can work with, or is this somebody we can get rid of? These things are being planned within policing and corrupt policing. But if there is any victim of police brutality that can say, I have been brutalized, police have helped me through my complaints, they have remedied the situation and recognized that they have done wrong and put it right, please be the first one to comment or get me that person. But the problem, the informant who works for the police in perverting cause of justice, and this person is three things. One, he is intelligently in terms of IT works. Secondly, he have access to all the information being given by that police officer or by that police department that they have allowed the human intelligence against you. And thirdly, he is dangerous. And he's covered, dangerously and covered at all stages. That's what the problem is. And this is experience that I have encountered within 10 years of police brutality. But the second thing that I will look at before I get into the whole thing is how friends, family, neighbors, or any other police in the area or nationally or locally anywhere else are being manipulated or being defamated by the undercovers police or by local police or by those that are responsible for liabilities. And this is where the problem is with my case. There is only one police force in the country that is capable of doing that. It's the British Transport Police. British Transport Police. That are the only police force in UK that are capable of referring or defamating any other police force within the country that there is a detection, investigation and prevention or investigation of a crime to a local police, wherever local police you go to, for them to continue to monitor, harass, and do the same thing that happened locally. That's where the problem is. Now, having said that, legislatively, there has to be a substantial amount of evidence for them to be involved in investigating a serious and detection and prevention of crime. Let's say, for example, I'm a drug dealer. They know I sell drugs there in the wherever the case is. So for detection and prevention of crime, they have to do that. They have to investigate, they have to follow. They're given the right to investigate. The other one is serious crime in terms of harassment, stalking with intent to kill or anything like that. Those are the serious crimes that they are given the rights. But they do not have the right in terms of perverting course of justice. But they use the same legality or the same protocol of investigation in terms of preventing and detecting crime. Because you can never use detecting of serious crime and prevention to somebody who have no criminal record or no offenses. You would be violating and infringing that person's human right. Especially if they have complaints against the police, you would be in abuse of European intervention of human rights, Article 2 and 3 of policing within Police Reform Act. But why continue doing it when you know liability, you will be held accountable for a crime, for such a crime? Because they think they are above the law. They can manipulate, infiltrate, threaten, do anything they want for them not to be held accountable. And this is where the problem is. Now, that is criminal behavior. The question is that who police them of their criminality? Obviously, IOPC doesn't. Professional Standard doesn't. The Commissioner doesn't. And these are the 3-4 bodies that have to uphold them. Even any internal investigation to the Ministry of State of Justice, that would be, in the Home Office. Because every year of audit, all these things have to be found out by the Home Office and the Ministry of Justice. How many internal investigation of audit have been given to the Home Office? And if they have been, clearly these things should be detected and should never happen, should never continue. That's the whole point of having somebody above policing to make sure that they do the job right, that victims are not being brutalized for no reason, that innocent people are not being killed for no reason, that families are not going through traumas of a victim of knives and whatever crime there is, heinous crime that are being committed on a daily basis. But if these things aren't being done, because the other perception is that we keep blaming police for their corruption. These are human beings as well. And I understand that. But in each and every department, to make sure that you diminish any thought or any hindering of a corruption. If each and every department, whatever, even if it's not the police, whatever department or whatever company, if you do your auditing correct, lots of things won't be put right unless they have not been done. But I'm not here for political delegation or whatever the case might be. No. I am here as an experience as to why things don't work and has not been working in my case of 10 years. First of all, I'm sorry to say this, but I know lots of people, whenever racial come into mentioning, they don't tend to want to interact or to communicate with a communication or to have anything to do with that. But please, no one is racial. Nobody is. No one is born racist. Let me get that clear. No one is born racist. No, not on earth, never. Racial is inserted in somebody's mind of a superiority of somebody than the other person. So I'm not going to say here because of racism. No, racism has a contribution in terms of, yeah, there are cases where if your surname is not of English, they're not going to give you your job. There are cases, but that depends to individual who is in that position. Not everybody. So I'm not going to stand here and say racist this, racist that. No. The problem, before we come to equality, is a protocol, rules and regulation that are being not upheld, that are not being followed, that lead to crimes. Authorizations of policing, like in my position. Now, to come into my case, is this. The case has started in Stoke-on-Trent. You can see my YouTube. Everything is there. But I want to look at three things. And I want to make sure I look at it correctly. First of all, how it started. And how it transferred to other forces. And what is being done. And how it has damaged my reputation and me. And lost me in tatters. And as to why I'm seeking justice over it. This is what I want to look at it. Stoke-on-Trent is Stoke-on-Trent. There is a lot of issue with that place. But I am not in any position to judge what has gone there or what is going there. My issue is related to what have happened to me, not anybody else, to what have happened to me. If that have happened to any other lot of people, clearly, whether it's contributional or whether it was there or how they are, I don't know. But clearly, my case is what have happened to me, where it started as a stereotype against me and racism. That's how it started, no doubt about it. Who is this black person? What is he doing? What does he do? That's how it started. Where does he live? Because you have to be known by being profiled. Whether that's through character or through racial, you have to ask them. I don't know. But clearly, that's how things started. So, sorry. So, and by doing so, I have then started this long process of complaining against the police, which is already on my YouTube as well, which I'm not going to go back into it because the only part that I want to go back into it is two parts. The police turned around and said, basically, you are no good. And they want to put you in direction of doing something. Because the moment you become known to be of police, what's the word they use? What's it? Fanciful of police complaining. That's what they call me. I'm a fanciful of police complaining against the police. Fanciful. That is a word even can be used by investigator as somebody being fanciful without investigating a complaint. Then clearly somebody need to be checked. But this is where the problem is. But with all the complaint process, up to local resolution, everything have never been upheld. Never been upheld. Not even single one. They were being covered over and over and over and over. That's why they started turning around and said, because they knew they will have to bring themselves to be held accountable and liability and put things right. But having looked and planned that how can we get away with this, they look at three things. Is there a family member that we can manipulate and lie to that this person is of this and that and that? Or the other one, they created a reaper against me, which is a rundown. A reaper is basically running somebody down, mentally, physically, psychologically, emotionally. That's what they did. And this is where it have left to this day. And that's where the problem is. Everybody else have been used in the process. They have been lied to, manipulated, bribed, blackmailed, defamated. All of them, everybody, regardless of your position, I don't care who you are. Everybody have been used in my case. They have been lied, and they knew that they have been, because this is the problem. If I am a police officer and I have been told by British police or whatever, whoever, or national crime agency, whatever, that this person is being investigated for this and that and that and that, obviously, first of all, I will take the report. I will make a cross-reference, a check reference. What criminal record does this person have before I continue to do my job under my oath? And then I can keep silence that I did my check and I didn't want to be part of it. But then how can you then not do the cross-reference check attribute to a suffering and are imposing a brutality on somebody by then starting to hate the person for fighting for justice. I mean, how do you go back to your family and say you did your job? How do you put on your badge in the morning and go out of the door from kiss your kids on the forehead and your missus and say you are going to a job and be proud of that? How do you do that? This is what I don't understand at all. How do you get yourself to that position? I will cross-reference everything because I have the power to do as a police under my oath. If I given any information on somebody that I have to do this and this and that, then I will say, no, I won't do it. Because that's against the law. Because when it comes to justice, it's not the person that who ordered you to do that. And you say, oh, I'm following order. No, you are following order if it's lawfully. You are not following order if it's unlawful. So how do I sit here? Or how do I get to this stage over 10 years of everything that I have gone through? And the most painful things that I have gone through of all is police conspiring or family dejection between me and my family. Police attempt on my life. And more importantly, be in section under mental health to be silent. These are the three things that really, really I'm traumatized against. They isolate you from the whole family by saying you are this and that and that and that and that. That's the first things they do. They did. Secondly, they turn around and started saying this person is without any medical record of being of mental health. And this person is of mental health. That's the second thing they did. And the third thing, sectioning me under mental health section 2. Without any proper procedures to do so. But the people that have done this within policing, within NHS, within all these departments are still in their job, doing their job. And what they have done is criminal. Knowingly, they have been aiding and abetting crimes by perverting course of justice against me. So how do I fight justice if all my doors have been shut? And do you know what happened in terms of legal aid? I have qualified over 25 times to have a legal aid in my case. But you know what they said? The person who assessed legal aid all the time, because you go to the first stage and then the second stage. You talk to somebody, they ask all the information and they tell you there in the system that you qualified. And then they send your case to a solicitor who knows that you qualify, to a solicitor that deals with the police. Then they come back to you by saying they don't deal with that case. Or the person who's supposed to send you the solicitor to take your case on, they know within your area who's responsible by taking your case against the police. They don't send to those people. Why? because they have been an influence by the police. And this is how they do it. You know your calls, your phone call. Whenever you start making an outgoing phone calls, automatically by this person that I have said is a rep, is an informant of the police, an undercover informant that monitors an IT. This person is sitting somewhere in the room, either at the police station or somewhere close to me, by wherever they are. They monitor each and every outgoing calls, incoming calls, social media, even to upload this video. It will take me 2 days before I upload it. They know each and everybody within my contact. They know who they can use, who they can manipulate. Now you're saying storage is full. And this is a problem. Now it's saying my storage is full. Half an hour video. This is being done by that person and undercover. Who is audio listening to what I'm saying now in my home. But when you put a complaint to professional standard, they say this person is fanciful, that there is a conspiracy against him by the police and all that and all. You can say I'm fanciful, then there is no police conspiracy against me if you fully investigate my complaint. But when you don't investigate my complaint and come back to me and say this person is fanciful, I won't even waste my breath explaining what you are. As a professional standard police or investigator, my case should be or have already been referred to CID, Director of Directs. I have requested all this. Within professional standard, I have exhausted each and every process within professional standard, within the commission, within IOPC. They know exactly who is behind it, what police are doing it. They know all these things. But the problem is this. This is where it gets problem. The people that are to be held accountable, they never get held accountable until 5-10 years after the line. When something happened to you or when you die, and then it even get covered up. But this person should never be in that position to start with. They should never be in that position to start with. When I have requested subject request, what I have found within subject request, it was not only appalling, but horrified. There was nothing incriminating against me, but yet there were all kind of subjugation, all kind of evidence. There is all kind of evidence that shows that there has been surveillance operation against me. Because of the complaints that I have made to the police, where the police have now turned around and tried to incriminate me by surveillancing against me. It's a vendetta. But I cannot take this and present it to the IOPC or professional standard because they already know that through the investigation. So they cover it up. They have already know that. And none of all my complaints have been ever properly upheld. Never. Because they have never been investigated. Now, there are 2-3 people that I would really like to point out here. The Chief of the Police of Merseyside, the former Chief of the Police of Staffordshire, and the current Chief of Staffordshire, and British Transport Police, including Constable Neil Williams, 2895 of Merseyside. I don't care whoever said what, whatever said who. These are the responsible party. In terms of IOPC, well, that speaks for themselves, because the other day they have lost the director. Now they lost the director. The other day they lost the chief of the IOPC. So I cannot go into that. But the problem is there. Now, whether my situation of 10 years that I have been complaining to IOPC direct, because this is what I used to do, this is what I do. Each complaint that I have forwarded, or that I have complained against Merseyside or any forces, I have forwarded it to IOPC. Each and every complaint that I forwarded to police department, IOPC have it. So what do they wait for? After the police have finished me off, and then they say they're gonna do an investigation, and then cover it up by saying that, oh, this person have never complained against this and that and that and that. Because now to come to the point of mental health, when a Honey police station, Honey police officer in Stoke-on-Trent rang the ambulance to say, go to my property, this person is having of episodes in his home. What are they insinuating? And these are the information that nobody knows about. These are the information that are not shared everywhere, and these are the information that is being covered up. If a police officer is ringing the ambulance, and those things are there in my Facebook as well, when the ambulance attended my property in Stoke-on-Trent, that the person is having of episodes in his property. So as an ambulance driver, when you attend my property, what do you try to accomplish, basically? Yes, let's say I was having episodes. If in fact I was having episodes, because we know that's a crap. Because the point was then to try to say that I was of mental health. But when you come to my property as an ambulance driver, what do you try to accomplish? This is a question. And when you take that call, the manager who takes the calls, the person, the 999 who takes the calls, and then get to send an ambulance to my address. Because clearly, there is a link. The police officer who rang the 999, the person who took the calls, and the person who dispatched the ambulance. There are three communications there. Because when I asked this person, I said, okay, tell me one thing. When you come to my property, that I was having of episodes, having talked to me now, do you see me as having an episode previously to the call, what he says? She turned around and said, no. The second question I asked, I was like, so when you came to my property, where were you going to take me? This is what I asked. Okay, let's say I was having an episode. Where were you going to take me? I said, to hospital. And said what exactly? Well, we would have taken you to what you call it, mental health sectioning department, and say you were having episodes without any trail of medical record, without any evidence from my GP or communication from my GP, without any family member, so I would have been submitted? Or are you saying that where you were taking me have already been accomplished as well, have already been conspired as well? Is that what you're telling me? I said, no. So how then you would admit me to from A to B? How would you do that? Because clearly it's not an emergency where you need where an ambulance is needed of an attendant. Somebody, when he's having a heart attack, you take 25 minutes to an hour to come to their property. But when you're called by the police, or somebody is having an episode, which is not an emergency, a category of emergency, you attend within a second, and you want to take me to where? Tell me. When I started putting this serious question to them, they just started to disappear. Oh, we can see you right. We didn't need to attend. They say, no, let's have a come. In fact, I would advise. I'm requesting you to come into my property, do the checks, do high blood pressure and all that. Everything else, do all that. Yeah, I'm inviting you to have a conversation with me to see if, in fact, it collaborate with the reason of your cause to come to my property. They didn't want to, because they have realized then that they have made a mistake. They jump into their vehicle, whoop, disappear. That was the first time. The second time, since the first time did not work, they went and conspired with so-called family. The family that I don't even talk to. But because they bribe and blackmail that because of a son, criminality, and offending, being out in prison. So, and if you help us with that, we will help him to be cleared of those crimes. And she called the ambulance, attended my property. That's the second time. Oh, we have a concern from your family. But then when I asked that person, when did they get the information of my address? Because they never. But it came out that there was the same police officer who called the police the first time. Those records are within NHS, Northwest Ambulance. Those records are there. They know what police officer did that. Those records are there. It's not that they are not there. And it's the same person who is behind everything else, of everything that have happened to me, including where I am now. But they don't look at that as a problem, no. They look at me as being a problem. I am a complaining, fanciful. That's what they call me. Once that have failed, the second time of a family member, they went to my GP. My GP said, we don't have any record of that person being of mental health. So we are not going to breach our code of protocols and conduct and breaching doctor and doctor and patient privilege. No, we're not going to do that. But then they try to use the admin team. The admin are not the doctors. The admin team of my GP. But the admin are not in position of allowing that to happen. A doctor have to allow that to happen. And my doctor said no. And I take my hat off it. But how many doctors have been used in that same position? And people are in mental health because of that. And the same people are within their license and treating people. And the last time it happened, it was at my Andres. They came and sectioned me under Section 2 without any prayer of my doctor, because they knew of a previous encounter that if they try that, it is never going to happen. So they fabricated everything else. I was taken to mental health institution. When I get there, everybody was asking, why are you here? What are you doing here? You are not even of mental, you are not nowhere close to being of mental health. In fact, you are opposite. You are not stupid. You are not and this may be you are being threatened by your challenge you pose on them of what they have did to you. So you have to become silence by being of mental health. And the reason they did not go to plant was because you did not resist their arrest when you were being sectioned. Because would you have then resisted the arrest, you would have been sectioned under Section 3, which they would take you straight away. Your rights, you would be injected with mental health injection, you will be then subjugated to all mental health treatment and all. You were gone. That's what they wanted. That was the plan. But you remain calm. You let them do what they did. They took you here. You went under assessment for 4 or 5 days. You were released. No issue. You came home. Even after I came home, they sent an after team, whatever, they came to my property. They knew there was no issue, but they were trying to insist that there was an issue. I put a complaint. It's never been upheld to this day. So am I now going to conclude by saying that this is a systematical issue or individual issue? I don't know. You tell me. Because clearly each and every department had a role in it to play, which could have been an end of my life in the process. But the fact that the same people are in their position as if nothing have happened, and I am suffering with an adverse effect of all this problem, and that's okay, life have to go on. But when I'm here to seek justice, then I'm being threatened, tormented, harassed, surveillanced, all these things, without any justice at all. How is that possible, folks? How do people like that get away with just a crime? This is what I want to know.